Hey everybody, it is Natalie from Power Moon Tarot, and today's reading is highlighting the full moon in Libra. I've titled this video Living in Clip because of the amplification that we're experiencing now on this full moon. This full moon is with Jupiter. Actually, the sun is with Jupiter right now in Aries, and so Jupiter is included. The moon is also making a quincunx to Uranus. And Uranus can certainly blow things up or amplify things to a very high level. And Jupiter, of course, is a planet of expansion, which is also in the mix in this full moon. So it is a big amplification of what's to come for the next 6 months. And because we're 2 weeks ahead of the solar eclipse, we are officially in the eclipse zone as well too. So we're having an eclipse on April 24th, April 21st. As we move into Taurus season, there will be an eclipse in the very last degrees of Aries. And in astrology, we call that the anaretic degree, and it is it is a degree that is the first degrees of any sign and the very last degrees of any sign are always interesting points as far as delivering strength and power, revelation, the ending of matters. The anaretic degree is called the killing degree. I'm not saying that to scare anybody, but I just want you all to know that we are in the eclipse zone right now, and we are coming up on a Mercury retrograde as well too. So this full moon is kind of leading into the celestial drama, I will say, of the next upcoming month. And I say month because we always look at eclipses 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. And for those of you that are already kind of feeling Mercury's already in Taurus, maybe you're already starting to feel like, oh, yep, I can feel that retrograde coming on, or there's things that have been going on or breaking down, or things that you put off for a long time are now all of a sudden like have to take care of them today. Uranus, right now the moon is in a quincunx with Uranus too, and Uranus is definitely a planet that can induce anxiety and panic. And I always think Uranus is kind of the planet of the panic attack. So if you're prone to that, then this full moon could be very emotional for you. And as we know, the sun right now is in Aries and Mars is debilitated in Cancer. And we also have the moon in Libra. Venus is in Taurus, which is much stronger. So the feminine energies are actually really strong right now, but and extremely amplified. But I also think we have to be respectful of the changes that are coming in, and we also have to try to not overreact right now because of the amplification of everything. And so we don't like blow a circuit or blow a gasket. And so that is what I am getting for this full moon in Libra. It actually, like, I was like, Spirit, give me some intuitive advice about the full moon in Libra. And it gave me those words, living in clip, which is actually, for those of you who know the musician, the indie musician, Ani DeFranco, she had an album called Living in Clip. And it was basically like her live performances. And the name of that just means basically like blowing out your speakers or blowing out your amplifiers. So anyway, it's kind of like living on the edge of what's to come. And I feel like that's what this full moon in Libra is talking about. Of course, you know, the sun is also with Chiron right now too, highlighting relationships and the patterns that we have in relationships. Whenever we have Aries Libra polarity, we're dealing with that. And with Chiron there, again, it's just another amplification. So on the bottom of the deck here is gratitude, which I think is very aligned with Jupiterian energy, and being grateful for the things that we have in our life, being grateful for when we can actually rest and take some time out, being grateful to still be alive one more day. And I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, how are you today? And they're like, I'm doing well. I'm just glad I have 2 feet on the ground and one more day on this planet. So hopefully we'll find out what this full moon has to teach us, as like I said, it is with Jupiter, the guru. So we should all remain open to this full moon's teachings. So let's go ahead and begin, and we are going to have 3 different piles to choose from, and I'm going to talk to you all directly in each pile about what this full moon is actually trying to communicate to you. And I think it's a fairly rich in energy full moon. I know it definitely zapped me pretty hard yesterday. And this time, especially with Uranus, you have to be careful of malfunctionings and accidents and things like that. So I was driving yesterday and I had like a moment of like, is this car out of control? Which is very, moon Uranus. Like malfunction, technological malfunction. The car is out of control, which is also very full moon heightened energies, which tends to really like brush up against us psychically. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it today. I also think there's some possibility for heightened psychic activity in relationships. Like if you have a relationship partner that you live with, or you have a serious not just one-off type of things or just seeing each other, but fully expressed connections. I do think that there is the possibility for some deep inner work right now if we don't get too scared off or too boot off the stage with the whole Chiron thing, which tends to create wounds around self-esteem, especially when it's with the sun. So, we just want to be careful. For those of you that are booed up and doing your thing, I do think that there is heightened psychic activity in relationships right now. There's also a potential for healing. So we will just watch out for that as we move forward. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the piles. We have, and actually just one other quick announcement. Sorry for droning on. Anyway, for those of you that would like a tarot reading with me, there's in the description box below is a detail about how to request a tarot reading from me. And for those of you who would like an astrological natal chart interpretation reading with me, yours truly, you'll find a link below to my website where you can book that. The month of April is open. It's 11/11. It's getting spicy in here. Let's go ahead and start the reading. We have Uranus here for pile number 1. So if you're feeling what I talked about earlier with Uranus and the moon and that electricity that may be a little bit too much at times, go ahead and choose pile number 1, which is represented by Uranus. We have pile number 2, which is Jupiter, the guru, and Jupiter is amplifying this full moon right now too. And then we also have pile number 3, represented by the moon itself, which is of course a big player on the stage of life right now. So we are going to go ahead and get into it. You can go directly below to find your pile. And of course, you're welcome to watch more than one pile. If you haven't left a comment for a while, you haven't said hi to me in a while, go ahead and do so. If you feel like it, if you feel called to. I do love reading all the comments and I love staying connected with you all. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Pile number 1, you chose the Uranus little pin here or magnet. You were attracted to Uranus like a magnet. So let's go ahead and find out what your message is regarding this full moon in Libra. I actually snuck a past life card into each deck as well too, because we have an eclipse coming up, and I think eclipses generally are giving us some image of something from our past. It involves the sun and the moon and our ability to move forward. It involves Rahu and Ketu, which of course, Ketu is the point of past life. So let's go ahead and jump in on this full moon for pile number 1. We are rich with information today. We are rich with history, information, culture. For those of you connecting to your cultures, for those of you connecting differently in relationships and differently in what you're learning, good for you, okay? And for those of you, yeah, there's the Nine of Cups, okay, on the bottom of the deck. There's like, I do feel like Spirit is proud of you right now, pile number one, for the life that you're creating for yourself, okay? But let's go ahead and start with the Oracle cards, and then we will go ahead and get onto the tarot. So we have boundaries. Wow. Okay. Boundaries coming up on this full moon in Libra, and that's pretty typical, I would say, because Libra, of course, is a very social sign. This full moon in Libra, the moon tends to blur boundaries, so socially blurred boundaries, opposite the sun in Aries, very individualistic and fiery. So there's some difference between self and other that's being highlighted for you right now, pile number one. We have the ascendant, mission statement, expression, your role, your attitude, your outer self, your point of view, your body image. For those of you that ever had people like growing up commenting on your body or your weight or your clothes, I feel like you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna stand for that anymore, and I can't believe I ever stood for it in the first place, okay? And Uranus is a rebellious planet. Some of you may feel like changing the way that you look and changing your aura at this time. And I feel like a lot of you are wanting, upon meeting people or upon first impressions, you're wanting to show people that you have healthy boundaries and that you're a boundaried person, and that you are fully inhabiting your own life and body, okay? We have here stunned. Okay, Uranus is definitely a planet that can be correlated with stunned, okay? And that moment when time stands still as you try to make sense of what has occurred. This is the golden moment to plan your next move rather than react to the situation, okay? So we, like I said in the beginning, we have a moon, Uranus, the quincunx. That's what happens when you have the moon and Uranus, it's a mern, I guess. But anyway, so I also feel somebody around you could be stunned, or you could be stunned, because somebody really came out fiercely here with the boundaries and said, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not having that. And that moment when time stands still and you realize, maybe some of you did set a boundary, and in that moment you realize, wow, this relationship is changing, or this friendship, this relationship, this work situation, it's changing. And some people around you could have been very stunned when you did that. We have discipline here, exert authority, define. It's time to take the bull by the horns, create a strategy, and mobilize your forces. Okay, and in order to do that, you do need strong boundaries. Okay, and this card also talks about having the right golden moment to do what you want to do. I think you can kind of feel when the moment is wrong, you know, and this has been happening to me more lately. Pile number one, too, is I've been more open to the effects of the influxes of time. And what I mean by that is sometimes before you do something, you can just, in your own mind, you feel it's the wrong time, but you feel you're going to do it anyway. And so that takes some negotiation and boundaries. It's an interesting concept. And of course, this full moon is with Jupiter, so I'm getting all philosophical on you guys right now. I threw a past life card in here, and we have Asia. Okay, so those of you here could have had a past life connection to Asia, all right? Or perhaps you are Asian, all right? But there is this... and some people, even though for those of you that aren't Asian, some people may comment that you look Asian, or maybe you're Asian and they don't know exactly, you know, where in Asia you're from, you're from, pile number one. Oh my God. But I also just see here the yellow across the statue here, and yellow is the color associated with Jupiter or the guru. So some of you could have had very disciplined spiritual practices in Asia. when you were in a past life, okay? And I feel like some of you are changing with this ascendant. You're changing and you're really seeing whether someone can kind of enter your life or not, okay? And you're getting more disciplined about that, and probably more philosophical in your worldviews as well, pile number one. Maybe some of you are studying Buddhism or Eastern religions as well. We have here sacred contracts, and we see the 2 rings, okay? And on here is card 34. So we may have some people in their 30s or around age 34. But there is something about honoring the boundary of a sacred contract, okay? And boundaries takes discipline. This discipline card is interesting because discipline is not just, you know, the boundaries that you're telling to other people. It's also the internal boundaries that you set for yourself and honoring those boundaries as well. I think your guys' view on your purpose or your view on yourself or your worldview is possibly changing, pile number one, okay? And your sacred contracts that you enter into with soulmates also are being highlighted as during this full moon as well too, okay? And perhaps there was someone who set a boundary with you and said, I don't, you know, want to do this anymore, or I'm done with this. And that also can be can create this energy of being stunned and not knowing what to say, okay? But having the mental discipline to respond to something in a way that reflects like the growth, the spiritual growth that you've experienced, pile number one, is something that I think is happening now. And your sacred contracts and your relationships with Uranus here may be changing, and there may have been like a sudden reversal of a connection or a relationship that stunned you, okay? But let's go ahead and see, what is the message to pile number one during this full moon in Libra? What is the message? What is the message? Okay. We have the 8 of Pentacles. So never giving up. You know, the 8 of Pentacles does not give up on anything easily at all. No matter how much effort or work it takes, it has... The 8 of Pentacles is an energy of being disciplined, right? Like this, I can keep going. And even if I suffer a setback, it doesn't matter. Like I'm disciplined. I will keep going, okay? And we have here the Hermit. So lots of Virgo energy. The 8 of Pentacles is Sun in Virgo, and the Hermit is represented by Virgo. And I love that it's coming out on this discipline card of taking the bull by the horns, creating a strategy, and mobilizing your forces. Also, the Hermit isn't afraid to be alone. As long as the Hermit has the spiritual knowledge that it's seeking, or it finds the pinnacle of what it's searching to find. It doesn't matter if it ends, if the Hermit doesn't mind if he or she ends up alone, as long as they find the internal truth that they're seeking. So pile number one, it takes courage to stand up for yourself. It takes courage to stay disciplined with the boundaries that you've set as well, okay? But the Hermit is a very good focus card. So these 8 of Pentacles and the Hermit, to me, pile number one, are already talking about an increased focus. And we have the 5 of Swords. Okay, so applying wisdom to a situation that seems irrevocably broken. We have the 10 of Pentacles here, okay? And yeah, we see it's like the Hermit had a family, and then the Hermit had to let that family go, and go, whether that's a relationship or a family member or whatever it may be. I feel like you guys are kind of done being pacified by people pleasing, or the they're theirs, or the you're a good girl or a good boy or whatever. I kind of feel like you guys are done with that, and it's almost like you'd rather be alone on your own quest than having to put up with this, okay? And the Five of Swords with the Ten of Pentacles could definitely represent maybe what you feel as a loss of status or a loss of income or a loss in the way that people see you, okay? But sometimes we have to go through that gauntlet, pile number one, you know, in order to really purify the inner light. And I know I'm getting really spiritual in this reading, and I can't really help it, right? We've got the guru Jupiter with the sun and the moon right now, so you're just gonna have to put up with me, pile number one. But I do feel like there was money that you expected, or there was a certain payoff that you were expecting, or possibly a good job that you were expecting. And I feel like a lot of you could be perfectionists here as well, with the Eight of Pentacles and the Hermit coming up. And I feel like you guys like to do everything to a T, or you like to do everything in a way that is basically like keeps everything in order, okay, and wards off chaos. But I feel like somebody had a very unexpected reaction, or possibly you had an unexpected reaction to some very good work or some very good planning that you did. And sometimes we have to learn in life that no matter how much effort we put into something, you know, there may be some jerk who's intent on sabotaging at the end of the day, pile number one, and we have to kind of change course or go our own way. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with the job that you did, or there's nothing wrong with what you were bringing forward. In fact, I think you were bringing forward more than your fair share in your sacred contracts. I also feel like your sacred contracts are being rewritten right now, and there could have been a possible betrayal in a relationship that you guys thought was solid as gold, okay, with the Ten of Pentacles. And it's like, I'm sick of this person and I don't care about appeasing them anymore. You know, it's like, I'm sick of being on a team with this person. It always turns up wrong. It always turns up in a way that fucks me over, you know? And I feel like a lot of you here with the Hermit are saying, you know what? I am going to embrace my own journey at this point. And I am going to, because I feel like you guys are saying, I can actually approach things with a clearer mind without this influence in my life, okay? And Uranus brings a lot of risk, and Uranus also gets rid of inhibitions. So I feel like the Hermit is where we've kind of gotten rid of our defenses, and we've stripped down to something that is a much more basic premise of who we are, but it's the true premise, okay? It's the true wisdom. And I feel like you guys are going to be delighting in wisdom, and I feel like you're going to be learning the lessons that you've needed to learn about keeping your boundaries strong and being disciplined with your own mind as well too, okay, pile number one. And I feel like you can no longer prop something up that isn't fruitful or beneficial for everyone involved, you know? And if there were people that were receiving the benefit of your hard work and not really appreciating that, I think you've had some time to think about that, pile number one. And I do think, you know, the Five of Swords can definitely leave us stunned, and can have us feeling like we're in a moment when time was standing still, when there's certain betrayals and things that have happened, okay? And perhaps some of you were in a partnership where there was cheating, or perhaps you were stunned by someone's behavior in your family. Perhaps you were stunned to be thrown under the bus at work. Okay, I'm just kind of seeing like there is a rewriting of your soul contracts right now, pile number one, and it may be feeling a bit nerve-wracking or anxiety inducing with Uranus, and but I feel like Spirit is saying go to the core of your disciplined mind, go to the core of your inner Virgo, go to the core of your inner like ability to stabilize the foundation that you're creating for yourself, okay? And it's always hard when beautiful things that we've done have been ruined by the inappropriate actions of other people. You know, sometimes we ruin things too. Sometimes we ruin something as well, and we get stunned by our own behavior. You know, that's really that's really an insane premise. You know, like it happens though. Like we get stunned by our own behavior. We're like, wow, I didn't see that coming for myself. I didn't see that happening that way. I was completely unprepared for that. You know, and I think you're a person who likes preparation, pile number one. So I get that it might be nerve-wracking, but the final advice that I'm going to give to you here is on this card of discipline, okay? And it's again, it's the number 7. So for those of you that resonate with the number 7, this sacred contract is number 34, which adds up to 7, okay? So there needs to be some discipline and spiritual wisdom around your contracts with others, around your, whether it's family, whether it's relationships, whether it's at work, your duties. But at this point, the advice to you is to, you know, keep your boundaries strong, exert authority, define what you want and need. It's time to take the bull by the horns, create a strategy for you, okay? That's a winning strategy for you, and mobilize your forces in the direction that you're wanting to go, okay? And I think that's going to come after this feeling of being like stunned is finally passing you, okay? Passing through you. Pile number 1. Very interesting. I feel like some of you with this Asia card here in the 5 of Swords, some of you may spend a bit of time thinking about why people ruin good things, or about why people are the way they are, or you may contemplate the evil of this world a lot, or you may contemplate why people are so intent on spoiling things for others, okay? And I feel like at this point, we've done enough contemplating on that, or possibly avoiding the truth of that. I feel like we've done enough of that now, pile number 1. And with the Hermit, it's time to get really aligned to divine guidance, really aligned to the light, okay? So thank you so much, pile number 1. I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I hope this full moon treats you well, okay? Take care. I was going to say take care of my brethren. I don't know why I was going to say that, but take care, my friends. All right. And let's go ahead and move on to the second pile. This full moon has me feeling pretty froggy. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay. Pile number 2, welcome to your reading. You chose Jupiter, and today's reading is called Full Moon in Libra, Living in Clip. If you want to know why I called the video that name, you can certainly check out my intro where I talk about the full moon in general and what we're all dealing with. But without any further ado, pile number 2, I just got something about a waiter, or maybe someone has a job as a server or a waiter, or maybe you had an interaction with a really good waiter or a really bad waiter recently. Okay, but let's go ahead and I just heard the rudeness in society is like, you know, is growing in epic leaps and bounds, the rudeness in society, okay? And as I talked about in the beginning, this full moon is an amplifier. And It's an amplifier into like the social strata of what we all live in and the culture that we reside in too. All right, let's go ahead and keep the energy going. Pile number 2. I'm going to go ahead and do your oracle, then we'll jump into the tarot. We have the Divine Feminine. Wow, beautiful. Pile number 2. Okay. And I do think this full moon is very feminine in general, because even though it's in the masculine sign, the sun is in the masculine sign of Aries, and Jupiter's in Aries, and Chiron's in Aries. Mars, which rules Aries, is currently in Cancer, and Venus is in domicile in Taurus right now. So the Divine Feminine is very strong right now. I will say that. Pile number 2, okay? And we have Leo, the lover. Okay, I want to be adored, right? And I want to get dressed for success, and I want to be adored. Okay. I don't know why I just got that song. I want to be sedated. Da, 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 da. But anyway, the opposite for you is true. Leo is a very extroverted sign. It's like we have a need to be creative, playful, warm, and overt. Okay. Self-confident, flirtatious, and yeah, I also think this full moon could be, because of its lineup in Aries, could be creating dynamics where like the feminine is trying to push forward on something, okay? Or when like the feminine agenda to be like beguiling, intriguing, and draw people in is kind of like on hyperdrive. But anyway, pile number 2, let's see what else we have going on. We have paralyzed, not being able to move forward. This came up the other day in pile number 2. Not being able to move forward can overwhelm and create a sense of fear, but standing still can be just as frightening. At least moving forward can create change. Yeah, and we are, as human beings, fundamentally creative beings, aren't we? And if we're stuck in a cycle of stagnation and we don't feel that we can go after something in our own rights and in our own power, then things don't really move, you know? And the Divine Feminine is a lover who needs to be touched and appreciated and expressed fully in a playful and creative manner. And I feel some of you during this full moon, pile number 2, could be getting more in touch with your animalistic feminine side, which I think is very nice for you. And some of you may be leaning towards more of the playful energy, but I also feel some of you may be leaning towards more of the go after it type of energy. Like the energy is shifting to move you out of being paralyzed and into realizing your power, I feel. Okay. And it takes some bravery. You know, we have Leo the lion. It takes some bravery to do that. Okay. We have retreat, a timely departure, letting go, withdrawal, reevaluation of something, retirement, and don't hesitate to walk away. So it may be time to move away from a situation in order to get back to your own power and authority. And it may also be necessary for you, pile number 2 right now, to take some time to increase your self-confidence, do things for yourself, wash your hair, put on some, you know, cute whatever it is that you do to feel sexy and powerful. I do feel that's coming up for you right now. And I do see hesitation though, pile number 2, like there is hesitation in letting go of something, I feel. And on this card, it says, don't hesitate to walk away. And I think sometimes we don't understand the benefits of creating new energy and walking away for a greater opportunity. And, you know, with Jupiter, we can talk about fresh new opportunities that create good luck, abundance, and amplification of what you really want in your life. But sometimes we have to risk something that is keeping us paralyzed in order to find that. Pile number 2. Also, for those of you that are having creative blocks, you may need to step away for a little bit and go do something that's just for you, that's, you know, egocentric, selfish, and basically just for you. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think we need to move past the idea that people loving themselves or taking some time to appreciate themselves is a bad thing. You know, Leo is a very independent sign as well too. So there's this crosshairs. I feel you guys may feel like you're stuck in the crosshairs, or you may feel like you want to let go, or you want to be the powerful, you know, divine feminine that you know you are, but you're like a little bit lost perhaps about that. Okay, we have Father here, so every single pile got a past life card. And yeah, Leo is also ruled by the sun, and the sun in astrology represents the I was going to say patriarchal influence, but it also represents the paternal influence or the father. Okay, so there is something here for those of you that are working on healing your energy with, you know, masculine energy that at one point was in charge of you, or at one point was either there with you or not there with you. Okay, there is something crucial in this lifetime pile number 2 about your father, and some of you may have had a father that was a Leo. But you know, if when fathers aren't there, or when fathers are not there to encourage the divine feminine, and basically nurture that independent spirit, it can really do a number. You know, it can really do a number. And I feel you guys are very independent, and I do feel you're very strong. But I feel like there are certain places in your life where you can get stuck. Okay, pile number 2. And this full moon highlighting the relationship with your father or lack thereof. Okay, and for those of you whose father has passed on, it's still, you know, even if someone passes on, the dynamics that we lived with and that we knew, you know, for years and years growing up, or lack thereof a dynamic, definitely can carry forward in life. And yeah, I do feel some of you here may have had to pull back from your father, or you may have had to, they may have had to pull back from you, or you may have pulled back from them. But in any case, the father has to do with like the authority, right? And the side of Leo that is very independent and strong in that way, or the head of something. Okay, and so pile number 2, very interesting. We have truth and justice, and this person is holding a white feather, which makes me feel like somebody's father or father-like figure or ancestor is coming through in this reading, because the white feather does signify that. And I do feel like there, you know, it's interesting because Libra is the archetype for Libra is truth and justice. And the tarot card associated with Libra is justice. So there is something, I feel almost about, there may be something you need to admit to yourself, pile number 2, okay? And the message is just getting amplified. And the lessons and the message and all of that is just getting more and more amplified with Jupiter being attached to this full moon, okay? And not being able to move forward can overwhelm and create a sense of fear. And you know, what is the one thing that fathers are supposed to do? It's protect, right? And if you can see here, the little hand grabbing onto the finger of the father, it's like, you know, father could also be a stand-in for religion as well too, you know, like for those of you that have come from very religious backgrounds as well. We have Jupiter here, the guru, the planet of religion, teaching some important lessons about the patterns of self-reliance versus letting go, the patterns of independence versus the need to feel safe, the patterns of feeling powerful, but at the same time stubbornly not wanting to let go of something, okay? And I do feel like your guides are coming in here, pile number 2, to talk to you about truth and justice, and seeing truth for yourself. And perhaps some of you feel that you need justice around the people that were supposed to be there and protect you and teach you and help you, and that you want the truth of that situation to be out there in the world, okay? And I feel like you're also learning something about your nature and who you are and where you come from. I'm also seeing the number 4. So if somebody has a birthday on the 4th of the month or a birthday in April, I'm also seeing, for those of you that have a birthday that adds up to 4, like on the 13th of the month or the 22nd of the month, I am seeing that 4 number really amplified. And 4 is a number of structure and stability. It's associated with the Emperor in the tarot, which has to do, again, with that, fatherly, strong hand type of energy. Okay, so I think during this full moon, you guys have some ability, if you're willing to go there and you're willing to take the steps. I actually think you guys have some ability to do some father healing during this full moon, regardless of whether your father is here or not, or a part of your life or not. Reconciling the part of you that protects yourself and the part of you that is your own authority, the part of you that is independent and strong and is okay with walking away, okay? And maybe some of you had a father who walked away all the time and left all the time. So, it's just interesting when we have somebody who leaves all the time versus someone who is paralyzed into not taking action and just kind of waiting, and there needs to be like some truth and justice for my pile number 2s around this issue, okay? So even if it's just facing the truth in ourselves, all right? And let me go ahead, pile number 2, and let's see, what is this full moon wanting to teach? Pile number 2, what is this full moon wanting to teach? Pile, I feel like this full moon wants you guys to be your own best friend and wants you to really honor yourself the way you deserve to be honored, okay? The father also has to do with honor, okay? But honoring yourself, pile number 2. Let's go ahead, honoring what you've been through, okay? The truth and the honesty of what you've gone through. We have card 42 here. We could have people in their 40s, but let's go ahead and see. Full moon in Libra message for, there's the Page of Wands, just randomly popped out, but we're going to be a lot more intentional than just rando energy, okay? Pile number 2. We don't need rando energy up in here, okay? Let's go ahead and see the power of the divine feminine definitely coming through strong. We have Temperance here. Okay, so Temperance is associated with the archetype of Sagittarius. But we can't really get moving on things until we understand Sagittarius is the arrow pointing upward, which is like, getting things going or getting things moving. But a lot of times we feel that we can't really get things going or get things moving until we've thoroughly explored something, or until we have, really tested something out, okay? And sometimes in that, for those of you who have felt stuck and you're feeling like, I haven't been growing, my life feels very stuck, and I just keep feeling like I'm retreating from life. And here's a hand out, to, like someone holding their hand out to you, like to come forward with your truth, I feel, pile number 2. Now, for those of you who have felt like you need to let your light shine more, or you need to be more positive and confident in yourself, and you do feel like you've been very stuck, I feel like with Temperance, it's saying sometimes growth occurs in the most unexpected places, and you may think, I'm not growing, I'm just fucking around with the same energy as I was yesterday, and the Temperance angel has their back to the sun, okay? And sometimes we're so engrossed in something, we can't really see our forward movement or our forward direction that we are making in life. But let's go ahead. We have the Four of Wands. We have the Three of Pentacles. Oh, and Strength. Oh my God. Pile number 2. Hey now. We have multiple references here to Leo. Strength in the tarot, of course, is associated with the sign Leo. And it talks about like the purity of our self-expression when we're not trying to dominate anybody else, and we're not letting ourselves be dominated by anyone else either, when we are truly in harmony with nature. And and I talked about you guys connecting with your animal nature during this full moon, and I love that we're seeing the lion on this card. And strength is one of those, it's not necessarily an intellectual type of a card. It's more of a getting the hands dirty in the soil. It's more of the inner knowing to know where you stand. It's more of dealing with what you have in the moment instead of wishing for something else. And that is, and it's the ability to kind of hold your ground and hold on to your power in the midst of confrontation, in the midst of things that come up, okay? And the truth of the matter is, pile number 2, is that you have been incredibly strong, steadfast, and that I really feel you guys don't need anyone to take care of you. It doesn't take away, for those of you that didn't grow up with your father, or your father passed, or you weren't able to have that connection that you wanted, or your father wasn't there for you, or was a complete dick, whatever it may be. I feel you guys have really come so far to stand on your own and be your own best friend and teacher, okay? And I feel like you guys are not afraid to get your hands dirty in life and get down and dirty with what needs to be done. And the best way to learn a lesson is basically to go fully into it, body, mind, spirit, and soul. And, strength is definitely not an overthinking type of a card. So overthinking at this point, staying paralyzed in overthinking, is not the move right now. It definitely is just recognizing your core strength and your core value at this point, and your ability to handle your life as a grown woman or a grown man, okay? And I also just think here with the Four of Wands and Three of Pentacles, really good positive energy is coming towards you, I feel, pile number 2. And Jupiter is a planet of good luck. And Jupiter loves to reward and is very generous, and gives big payoffs for the people who are really maintaining and doing the work, And but anyway, I just feel like you guys I feel like whatever it is that you're working on, or your goals, I feel like with the Three of Pentacles, particularly your goals around how you want to feel every day about your life, I feel like Spirit is saying these things are tangible and they're within reach for you. I also feel like there's other people who are coming on board as well in this celebration or in this effort, okay? And the Four of Wands is a Jupiter. It is represented by Hesed in the Tree of Life. And so Hesed is associated with Jupiter and is the multiplication of all things. And so, it's a very dynamic, lovely card, the Four of Wands. And the Three of Pentacles sure knows how to roll up its sleeves and get to work. So, it's like whistle while you work type of thing. And where effort is getting rewarded, okay? So I feel like Spirit is saying, draw your attention to the stable environment that you're wanting to create for yourself, or that you have. Some of you may want to build a home, or you may want to buy a home, or you may be working toward a specific goal around your living situation. And you've been patient about it, or you've been wanting to take action in your specific living, you know, I just said living association, but you've been wanting to maybe do your own thing or go your own way or be around only the people you want to be around. I feel like all of these things are definitely within reach. And I feel like you guys are the authority, you know? And yeah, you're the authority on the matter. And I feel like for those of you that are pursuing positions of authority or wanting to take up positions of authority, I feel like you're going to handle it really well. And I feel like people are going to trust you. Okay, pile number 2, those are the messages that I am getting for you. Keep working towards your goals. My dears, you are showing up as very, very strong and very, very well achieved is what I'm seeing here. Pile number 2. Okay, thank you so much, pile number 2. I'd love to hear how your full moon in Libra is going for you. Thank you so much, my darlings. Remember to look at the positive side in life at times too, and take care. Let's move on to pile number 3. All right. Pile number 3. Pile number 3, welcome to your reading. You chose the moon, and today's reading is called Full Moon in Libra, Living in Clip, okay? We're talking about what is being amplified and what is being shown during this full moon in Libra. If you're interested in my observations on this full moon, you can listen to the intro. This is the first time I'm using this deck in a reading, so lucky you, pile number 3, lucky, lucky you. You're getting a fresh deck, and you're getting a fresh reset. So let's go ahead and see. Yep, it's needed too. We've got the 5 of Swords on the bottom of the deck, which definitely has to do with being disappointed with other people's behavior. And unfortunately, sometimes the full moon has a way of drawing that out in people, and the emotions are sometimes running high. But pile number 3, let's go ahead and get into it and see what is going on. We have your guides, okay? Coming through strong, starting your reading, opening up and saying, do we have your attention yet? We are here. And I just got the S names, or the name Siobhan. Maybe some of you know someone with that name. But we have the 8th house and intimacy here, investments, intensity, contracts, and inheritances, and the underworld, okay? And so some of you who have been going through a challenging time. The 8th house, it says intimacy on here, but you know, the 8th house, I think what they're alluding to is the trust that we put in other people that at times fail us, you know, and what that does to us psychologically when that happens. And yeah, anyway, the 8th house in astrology is also where we experience losses, and when we experience the dying and the decaying of the things in our life that are being shed. It's kind of like, you know, your menstrual cycle when you're shedding the lining in the uterus, you know, like I don't know why I just got that image, but maybe some of you are in that mode right now. But anyway, that's what the 8th house is like. It's like the opposite of fertility. It's where basically we find ourselves when we're needing to let go of the things that are dying and decaying in our life. And everyone has an 8th house. Everyone has to deal with their 8th house. The 8th house is also associated with death as well, can be associated with mediumistic abilities. Some of you may have a very strong 8th house in general. I know I do too as well, pile number 3. So anyway, let's go ahead and see. We have frustration. Wow, the frustration that comes from having to start over at the beginning, okay? After we lose everything in the 8th house, then we move to the 9th house, where we are greeted by Jupiter, who embraces us with warm arms and puts some bounce back into our step and makes us feel like, you know, everything that I do, takes away that feeling that everything that I do is lost, or everything I do is damned, or that type of feeling, which can definitely come up in the 8th house, okay? It says restart from the very beginning and scrap anything already tried. The answer to moving beyond this irritation will only be found in exploring new ideas. Exactly. And the 9th house is where we explore new ideas. The 9th house is where we create new visions and dreams and goals for ourselves. The 9th house is where we get additional education, or we meet foreign people, or we travel, or we do something that opens up our eyes to the fact that yes, this loss was really intense and it was a struggle and it was really hard, but at this point, I want to start creating a new roadmap for myself, okay? And I feel a lot of you in pile number 3, you may be asking, like, why is this happening to me? Or why does this keep happening to me? Or why do I keep having to go back to the start? And for those of you that are under 30 or just over 30 a little bit, there's one piece of wisdom that was shared with me at one point, and I really agreed with it. And it was like, up until 30 or around age 30, we're just kind of reliving past life cycles, and it's such a long time, 0 to 30 is a good chunk. The first third of someone's life, is really spent reliving and rehashing past life cycles. And sometimes we want to like jump into something again, and we want to do it again and do it the right way, but it's not actually the thing that we should be doing, so that can create a lot of frustration. And anyway, pile number 3, let's keep going. We have here development. Yeah, focusing on your development, gradual progress, continuity, slowly but surely, adaptability, a time-honored approach. Yeah, and your guides are just saying, like, if you could see your development, look at this huge, like, this is what they're showing me. Your development comes in ebbs and flows and waves, and sometimes you maybe feel like you can't see it or you're not feeling it, but they can see your overall development over lifetimes. And it's a big inclusive circle of a lot of things. Is what I'm seeing. I'm also seeing somebody's feet here too. And of course, the feet are what we use to walk and what we use to move and what we use to make gradual progress. Not all of us walk extremely fast. Some of us walk a little bit slower, but we walk slowly and surely towards our goals, and we're adaptable. And there may be some Pisces here in this pile, okay, or people that have Pisces in their chart heavily. And Saturn is in Pisces right now. So all my Pisces people are going to be feeling this over the next couple of years. But Saturn is here to teach you guys about gradual progress, slowly but surely, adaptability, right? Pisces is a mutable sign, so it teaches us to be more willing to let something go instead of kind of banging our head against the same wall. And yeah, anyway, pile number 3, I like it. Maybe you feel like with the 8th house, things haven't been rational, and it's been really hard to understand like why certain things are happening to you or why certain things have gone down the way they have. And I'm not here to say everything happens to it for a reason. And I don't know all the reasons in the universe why things happen. I think sometimes that mandala of our experiences lives beneath our visibility, and we don't even know exactly how everything is interconnected, and that's okay. Thank God we have our guides who see the big picture and understand the phases that we go through, forgiveness. Wow, interesting. And I always tell people I usually prefer the word peace over forgiveness. And for those of you that can relate to that and have struggled in the 8th house with some deep losses, deep betrayals, maybe even feeling like spirit betrayed you or God betrayed you. For those of you that have lost someone because of a betrayal or because of, you know, bad deeds done against you, I feel pile number 3. The 8th house is where we experience all those uncomfortable emotions that we wrestle with, and we try to process it there, and it can get ugly and dark in the 8th house. It certainly can, but we all need to have a place to do that, and we all need to have a place to forgive ourselves even too, and move forward with new energy, okay? And so there is some development for you here. I feel like your guides are helping you with like a new developmental program for you, or a new thing that you're going to be doing. Some of you could have lost a job, or you may have lost income. Okay, with the 8th house showing up here too, you may have tried to depend on someone for something financially and they didn't come through. For example, if you were waiting for a loan, or for example, if you did a bunch of work in school and then found out I can't really use this degree, or this isn't going to help me, or I feel like I wasted time. All of this kind of stuff, pile number 3, these lessons of loss and moving on touch us all, you know, and I think you guys are going to be okay, all right? We have throat chakra here, and this blue card too is reminding me of the throat chakra with this frustration, and I'm guessing that some of you have really needed to express your frustration about what has been going on, okay? And maybe you're like, damn, I have been complaining a lot lately. But I get it, you know. I think you've taken some hits, pile number 3, and you've been through a cycle of taking hits. And it may be that it's important for you to share that and tell your story too, right? We want to, of course, we don't want to like complain so much that we keep ourselves from starting something new, but we also need to get that energy out too in some way. Also as well, for people that, if you've had people taking their frustrations out on you, I think, you know how that feels as well. Pile number 3, if you've had people taking their life irritations or frustration out on you, you know, and that can really make people feel like crap as well, okay? Especially if it's happening at work or in your relationship or with your family, and you feel like people are constantly taking their shit out on you, okay? And I feel like there is some, and if that happens too much, it's time to go, you know? And the 8th house is a house of letting go. If someone is bothering you to the point and irritating you to this point of frustration where you've tried and you've tried and you've tried and you can't talk to them and there's nothing that can be done, and you feel like you're just spinning your wheels, and the situation gets nastier and nastier the deeper you go into it with the 8th house here, like, I feel like sometimes we just have to go, okay, you know, that's going to be it. And I'm going to have to leave that situation behind and focus on forging ahead with new ideas. Okay. You guys chose the moon for your pile. So your emotions and your ability to speak about your emotions with the throat chakra here is extremely important, okay? And I feel like your guides are coming up with a new like plan of development for you as far as, you know, your progression and where you're headed. And sometimes, of course, losses lead to new opportunities to grow. And I feel like you guys have been getting plenty of that, pile number 3, and you're probably irritated at this point by it. But I do think you're going to go ahead and try new things. And I do think you're going to speak up if something is bothering you. And I do think you'll let something go if it can't be rectified, okay? And sometimes there's just saying, like, especially if communication has gotten very tough in a partnership or in a romantic situation, pile number 3, sometimes we just have to let things go. If it's a big, if it's a partnership that's fairly good, that you've just got into an argument. I remember one time my boyfriend said, you know, Natalie, it's okay to just let things go sometimes. And I was like, what? How dare you, you know? But of course I did take his advice to heart. And it's okay sometimes to be the first one to apologize too. And for my people out there who are very stubborn, especially emotionally, have Moon Pluto contacts or have a bunch of Scorpio in your chart or Moon in Scorpio or this type of thing going on, for my Tauruses out there that are very strong-willed as well, like, you know, it can be hard. It can be hard to you know, to ask for forgiveness about something or to forgive someone, you know? And I think we can stay stuck in that for too long, you know? Just speaking from experience, pile number 3, okay? So maybe needing to vent the frustration here, but knowing when enough is enough, okay? So for my pile number 3s, let's go ahead and see what is the message here, since pile number 3's guides came through so clearly with this development. Talk to me about pile number 3's upcoming development. What are they going to see from their guides in their upcoming development? Okay. All right, so we have the 9 of Swords on the bottom of the deck. So a lot of troubles and heavy influences weighing on your mind. Pile number 3, and in Vedic astrology, the moon is associated with mind. And when the mind is unsettled, definitely the 9 of Swords represents a mind unsettled. It can definitely bring, you know, feelings of anxiety, feelings of overwhelm, feelings of frustration. And a lot of it too can be just overplayed mental energy as well. So getting kind of educated or control over that a little bit here. We have the 9 of Cups. Oh my goodness. Look at that. We go from the 9 of Swords of, oh my God, what's going to happen? I don't know. I'm scared. Nothing's going right. Oh shit. Oh shit. We go from that to, oh, look at this blue sky, and look at your guide with his hand out pointing at the blue clear sky. Oh my goodness. I love that. It's like positive days, good days ahead. Like, and it's also how you look at things. It's also how you think about the next phase of your life. It's also how you see things. But I feel like your guides are like here on the tip of their finger, showing you something lovely, beautiful, exciting. Sometimes just having a calm mind and being able to think things through and think about having new ideas is enough to do the trick, you know? And the 9 of Cups is like a simplicity too. It's simplicity, pleasure in simplicity. Oh, the Empress, pile number 3. Shit's gonna get good. Oh boy. The King of Pentacles. Wow. I feel like your guides are saying we're pointing after all this, you know, hemming and hawing and all this frustration and all of this stuff I was talking about. Your guides are like, whoa, they're like really showing up. Like, it's like with the 9 of Swords, all the worries were for nothing. Like, everything's okay. Everything's going to be fine. And just be adaptable and take things slowly and don't try to overdo it and try to get control of the mind a little bit, you know. But I feel like your guides are like, here's your happiness, you know. And for those of you that are wanting happiness in partnership, or you're wanting a nice, you know, romantic connection in your life, I feel like if you've lost that spark with your person, or if you've just lost a person in general because of betrayal or because of, you know, challenging issues that just cause the relationship to end, or just a lot of frustrating stops and starts when it comes to relationships. I feel like, you know, your happiness is right here. Also, the Empress represents pure growth, you know, pure growth, and the strength to grow. And things don't just grow. It's really hard to grow when we feel like overwhelmed and we feel like we're in a very weak place, you know? Not to say that we can always control the mind, you know? I'm definitely not trying to say that, pile number 3. But I am saying, like, when you take care of yourself, when you take care of your health, when you take care of your body, I think you're much more inclined to, you know, sometimes it feels like we can't dig ourselves out of that hole, you know? And I feel like your guides are helping you and with you now, pile number 3. And there does need to be some stability and calm in your life. And there does need to be people in your life that you can depend on, and people that have accountability is what I feel, okay? And the Empress is also receptive and is about drawing the right, you know, experiences to ourselves through a growth mindset. And I feel like you guys are definitely doing that, pile number 3, and your guides are helping you do that. They're coming up with a new plan and showing you a different way. Like, here's a different way to go about relationships. Here's a different way to go about connecting with people. Here's a different way to, you know, and I am really, what's the word? I'm really suspicious of manifestation culture. I really am. I try not to cater to that at all, pile number 3, but it's hard to ignore the 9 of Cups and the Empress. Like, I do think things are going to get better, okay? I do think things are going to get better for you. And I do think, you know, your body, your mind, for those of you looking for improvements in your health, I see that coming too. The 8th house can represent shitty health or having a shitty time with your health too. So I just think it's like, you guys some of you could be meeting someone, this King of Pentacles, okay? I feel like Spirit is saying, we're going to show you an easier way to do things, and an easier way to make money, or an easier way to relate. Or the Empress is also about multiplication of new things and new growth. And I feel like that's really what you guys need right now. Like, self-positivity, as corny as it sounds, I feel like you guys need that. I'm getting such corny things. I'm like, why are your guides are so corny? They're like, smile more, it's free, or pieces created through a smile, or whatever. I don't know. It's like, wow, they're really, the guides are really cheesy today, I guess. I don't know. But I also just feel like self-assurance is here too, okay? And like, seeing your plans really take root and grow in a very fruitful manner. And then also with the King of Pentacles, someone here who can help and assist in that, okay? And somebody who actually adds value instead of takes away from you or puts you in a dark place, okay? And some of you may be focusing on amplifying your energy to attract the right friends, lovers, etc. into your life. I feel like you guys are going to be attracting somebody into your life, whether it's a friend, whether it's a lover, but somebody who has the resources and the time and the energy to really give. As much as you give, I feel like you guys are also meeting somebody who knows how to give and share and be generous with their time and energy, okay? I also feel you guys meeting someone who has the same goals as you. I feel some of you could also be pointed in the direction of a person who can help you realize your career goals, whether it's a recruiter, whether it's a new customer, whether it is a mentor or a friend that has some really great ideas for you, whether it is like a new boss that comes into your life that shows you something, or a colleague or something. I feel you guys making positive connections that have a good impact on your money, which is good because the 8th house is harsh on the money. You know, it's not, the 2nd house is its opposite house, is really good for, depending on the state of that 2nd house, is good for financial thriving. The 8th house is where we owe other people money, or we're drowning in debt or things like that, okay? So I just think that you guys are meeting people that can increase your net worth, or people that point you in the right direction. I remember when I was in my 20s and I was getting like my first big corporate job, I just happened to meet this recruiter who worked for herself. She was self-employed, and I have no idea how I found her or how I got connected with her, but she got me my first big job in a completely different, like, big city. And I do not know what I did karmically to send this woman my way, but she basically, at the time, you know, I was, you know, like living in a really crappy town I didn't want to be in anymore. I wanted to change my life. I had just finished taking a really important exam. Like, all these things were happening for me, but I just was blessed with this one recruiter who helped me into the next phase of my life. And I feel like you guys could be, I'm just seeing that with this King of Pentacles. Like, I'm seeing somebody coming into your life that actually has the potential to change your life for the better, or to increase your income. Okay, pile number 3. So that is what I am getting for you, my loves. The bills are paid and the energy is shifting, my dears. So thank you so much, pile number 3. And do let me know if you enjoyed your reading, and I'd love to hear any comments that you have as well. Take care, everybody, and stay sane.